Liberia as a senior advisor to the Inspector General and ran the entire National Police Force. I was a United States contingent commander to the United Nations in Haiti, and then I was 2 years, I was over the Special Forces for the nation of Afghanistan on U.S. Department of State contracts. And I tell you all that not to boast, but to let you know I have a little bit of a diverse background. And one of the things that I planned on doing coming here was to bring in talent. When I first walked in the door as the chief of police, we had 9 vacancies. Just prior to that, there were 12. We are 100% fully staffed to this day, and we have a waiting list of certified police officers that are just wanting to come work with us. We have people that are taking demotions from lieutenants on up to come to our agency at no rank or a lower rank. And that kind of says a lot. And how did we get there? Number one, we work with city council and the mayor to ensure that we had adequate wages that were paid to our officers. If you want to recruit professionals, you have to pay a professional wage. City council and the mayor came together, understood that quickly, worked with the city administrator, and we came up with a new pay scale. We increased our pay about 17% across the board. Now next has to be the other public servants within the city. They'll be in next year's budget. It's very important and vital. And the reason being is having people that want to be here within the city. When I came here as chief of police, one of my first things that we did is we moved here. We purchased a house here to show that we're invested in the community. I didn't want to just walk into a community, put on my blinders driving in every day, and then drive home every day with my blinders on and not have to see exactly what the citizens are having to deal with on a day-to-day basis. And that was vital and very important. You made an excellent point about safety. Safety is my number one issue. That's the biggest thing. But there's also a financial component to the safety. So what we have done is we spent probably the last 2 weeks, myself and Major Cox, going around to the corporations, the big businesses, and some of the smaller businesses within the city. And we had over $60,000 pledged to us in the last 2 weeks from large corporations within the city limits that are going to purchase license plate readers for us. And I don't know if y'all know how that works. A license plate reader is not to write tickets for speeding. It's not for any type of parking violations. What it does is basically an advanced fingerprint-like technology that runs the license plate on the vehicle, runs the registered owner, tells us this suspect right here is wanted for murder. This suspect is a known gang member. This person right here has Alzheimer's or dementia, and they've been missing for 24 hours. So that allows us to pinpoint where these people are going. Right now we have commitments from businesses for over 20-something cameras. We're looking at getting 30-something cameras. We're not trying to burden the taxpayers. These businesses are signing a 5-year pledge. It's $3,000 per camera per year with a $750 installation fee, up to $700. These businesses are committed because we showed them the numbers. This is what reduces crime within a community when we can allocate our resources and go directly to the source. The bad guys don't know what hits them. You drive through these cameras, it automatically alerts the wanted person, tells everybody on their phone or in their cars with their mobile data terminals on a map where this individual is going in the direction of travel. Then they'll pass another point. Then we see that they've traveled to that point and where they're headed in that direction. And what we do is we allocate all our resources to hone in on them and make a traffic stop and take them down. If you follow us on our social media, we've kind of put a lot of stuff out there lately. There's a lot we don't put out there. We're taking guns off the street every single day, sometimes multiple times a day. I mean, that's no exaggeration. There are a lot of guns out there. There's a lot of violence. And we feel we're preventing. Just yesterday, we had, unbeknownst to us, we had a mother came to us with a 14-year-old child that had been lured in and baited in on social media by a child predator, a 38-year-old man, okay? And they were talking back and forth on social media. What we did is we got with the mother, we took a hold of her phone, and we posed as this young girl. And we lured in this individual and brought him to a location to meet us. And he met us. And we went to take him down. And he took off on us and he fled. And all of our officers, without having to give any planning, any advance notice, we had officers running out of the police station through spike strips, hit him as he came right in front of the police station, traveling down Main Street. This individual committed a violent felony. We did not know who he was. We were not going to let him go because he's a child predator. So we chased him down. He ended up losing control of his vehicle, spun out, hit another car. Thank the good Lord, nobody was injured during that time, and we put him under arrest. What did we find in the car? We found armored piercing AR-15 rounds, 5.56 rounds. We found pistols with hundreds of rounds, shotguns with many rounds, a bandolier of rounds with a shotgun. We also found around $18,000 in knockoff trademark infringement, violation, merchandise. So what do? We contact other resources that we have within the state. So every single week, we have the federal authorities, we have the state authorities that are working with us to go after the bigger fish. We followed up with this. This case didn't end there. We followed up in a search warrant in another county earlier this afternoon, probably within the last 2 hours. So these types of things are ongoing for us. We are taking out a lot of bad guys. There's a lot of cases that we can't discuss. If we don't put it out there, that means it's probably a good thing because it means it's ongoing. And sometimes people work for us and become informants. And that leads towards bigger fish, the bigger arrests. And that's what it's all about for us. We're not here to write the tickets. But on the small end, the Reverend was talking about he said the broken glass, it's a broken windows theory on crime. And it's very basic. But it's an old theory, but it works. If you have a broken window in a neighborhood and you don't fix it, the next day you have 2 broken windows. Then you have 3 broken windows. Then you have people kicking in the back door, leaving trash out. Then you have vagrants in the house. Next thing you know, you have prostitutes. Then you have drug sales coming out of the house. If you don't address the small things, the big things will come. That is absolutely vital. So what we're doing in the Pine Haven subdivision is we've been meeting. We've had some meetings, and I'm so happy to see a lot of people in here today that I recognize from some of these meetings. We're actually starting on March 1st. We're starting a citywide traffic blitz. And I'm going to tell you what we're going to do. This is pretty neat. It's cutting edge. For 17 days, we're going to write a tremendous amount of tickets across the city. But everybody has 2 options. One, they can come in to court on a court day. They can pay the ticket, or they can contest the ticket, ask for a jury trial, and go through the process that way, which can be pretty expensive if you have to get an attorney. Or we give them 2 cleanup days in the Pine Haven subdivision. So if they spend in our city, they have to come clean up in an area that the city needs assistance. So we'll have 2 dates. We're going to have March 18th and March 25th, 8 a.m. to 12 o'clock noon. When they show up, we will be there. We'll have reflective vests. We'll be working with different departments within the city. We'll be able to pick up the trash quickly. And we're going to ensure that those people are giving back. And if they give back and they commit 4 hours to clean up on one of those 2 days, we've already spoken with the judge. We're going to dismiss their ticket. It's not about writing tickets to collect revenues or anything like that. It's about writing tickets to educate and to move our communities forward so we can have a better and a cleaner community. And sometimes, unfortunately, this is what it takes to get people to get the ball rolling so they can start doing something in the neighborhoods. I know there's people that want to do these things. We're also starting the Neighborhood Watch. I have some stuff, pamphlets in the back about how to start a Neighborhood Watch program.
They got 3 options, not just 2. You just follow the law.
That's the big one. Exactly. That's the one we're hoping that we're going to deter. But if people do commit violations, we're going to give them alternative things. So we're also going to offer this later on as we're still going through the process called the Traffic Action Program, where somebody gets a ticket. A lot of times, especially young people get tickets. Who pays the insurance? Parents. They're the ones who are penalized with that. We're going to offer an option with that where they can go through like an 8-hour safety course so we can show them the dangers of speeding, things like that on a Saturday afternoon. They can pay an administrative fee, but they get no points against their license, and the ticket gets dismissed. We're not in the business of making revenue off taxpayers, but we are in the business of creating a safer environment. And everyone in this room can agree with me that the number 1 issue that affects all people is traffic. You know, it's something that we all occasionally have that lead foot. We all commit violations. But it's a safety issue. You talk about the kids, they can't walk down the streets. There's no sidewalks. If we could slow people down, we went into the Pine Haven subdivision and we set up a traffic counter. I don't know if y'all are familiar with that. It's a little strip that goes across the road and it counts the number of cars that go by, the time of day, how fast they're going. That's it. No other factors. We're not taking pictures or license plates. We don't know anything about the individual vehicles that go by. But somebody ripped up our cord off the ground and put a note on us trying to tell us to get out of the neighborhood. You don't have authority to collect data on us. We were merely trying to collect data to determine where we're going to allocate our resources. Instead of being there 8 to 12 hours, we're going to be there in a 30-minute segment when everybody's speaking. And those are the things that are, disheartening a little bit. They don't deter us, they actually motivate us. So we're going through the process of getting things set up to where we can do a little bit more of a blitz in the neighborhood and traffic enforcement. And it's more about the educational component and getting everybody on the same page and neighborhood commitments. So we'll be looking for people in the Pine Haven subdivision specifically to volunteer to be like neighborhood watch captains and block captains and things like that. We'll have other follow-on meetings where we discuss some of those things. But we are writing grants. Currently, I think we just wrote 6 grants for different positions that are fully funded grants, from juvenile investigators, sex crimes investigators, narcotics investigators, gang investigators to focus on the youth and the violence out there. Those are things that we already were also writing. Just wrote another grant for another traffic officer to get out there and be more seen in the community. So we have a million things going on. We have these little things in the back. I'm not going to take all your time, but it lists out probably about 10 different programs that we've just started. We also have a new police app that you can download. It's free. You can hit, basically submit a tip on there. You hit your GPS location. You can send videos and let us know what's going on in your area so we can do follow-up on it. We always make the disclaimer out there that if it's an emergency, dial 911. Because that app is not a real-time thing that we're going to immediately respond to. We may respond quickly, but we want you to dial 911 so we can respond appropriately. But we're doing a lot of things. You can hit that app and put your house, if you're going out of town, you can put your house or your business on extra patrol. The start date, the end date, we'll go by there twice in a 24-hour period and check on it, and we document all those things. We're doing different law enforcement and business coalition against nuisance conduct, partnering with the different businesses, because we've determined that individuals that commit shoplifting crimes or nuisance crimes in one business, they're doing the same thing in another business. So let's not wait to bust them in another business. If we stop them and they're busted in one, everybody in the coalition puts them on trespass codes. We want to make it uncomfortable for criminals to live in this city. We don't want them here. If you want to be a law-abiding citizen, we want this to be a beautiful city where everybody wants to come together and enjoy one another. But other than that, if you're a bad guy, watch out. You better leave because we don't catch you. So, has anybody got any questions? I'm sorry.
Actually, I got a question.
Okay.
First, my name is Angel Smith,
Good to meet you.
and I want to know, y'all talking about the police and the community having a relationship. How can you have a relationship with the community
Yes, ma'am.
if the police don't come through unless they're looking for somebody or chasing somebody?
Yeah.
Y'all don't come out to the neighborhood and just talk to people, get to know people? I mean.
No, that's a great point. That's an absolute great
How are we
point.
supposed to have a relationship?
I appreciate you asking that question. One of the first things that we're doing this, we're signed up, we're nationally registered for the first ever in the city of Lawrence National Night Out, where we serve the community. So the police are not going to be wearing uniforms, we're wearing t-shirts, and we get everything donated, and we have a lot of vendors that are going to be coming in. It's on August 1st, and that's when we kind of get seen as regular people. We're not superheroes, we can't do it all. Unfortunately, we are right now going call to call to call, and we have a little less time than we'd like to have to do the extra. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to work in the town size of Lawrence, because you can do that extra community policing thing. When you go work for Greenville City, Greenville County, which I've worked for both, Major Cox has worked for, you're literally just boom, calls, taking reports, going to the next one, passing it on to a detective. You never see the local impact. So for me, safety is number one, it's paramount. For us, we'd rather take out as many drug dealers as we can to make it a safe community, get rid of those problems so the kids are out there playing more. When we do run into the kids, a lot of times we just don't publicize a lot that we do. That basketball hoop was one of probably dozens of things that we've done very similar to that. We get out all the time and play football with kids. We have a cops coaching kids program where our school resource officers in all 5 schools within the city limits actually coach. And you know, a lot of people don't know that. We want them to wear their uniforms when they get out. But we have an incentive program now where if you live in the city limits, which is a big deal, and your patrol car's out there, you get extra pay. We want officers to be engaged with the community. And that's why it was so important for me as a leader to move into the city limits. So we have to get out, we have to do a better job. And it has to be through partnerships. It can't be such as a neighborhood cleanup day, setting up a neighborhood watch. Those are things where we can engage in the citizens.
Okay, my second question is, you talking about the speed and cleanup. What about the police? They speed all the time.
Nobody's above, excellent question. Nobody's above the law. Occasionally, yes, they do speed, and occasionally they get written up and they get suspended and they get disciplined. But hear me out. Sometimes you don't know where we're going. Okay? And sometimes it's not to the level of, according to policy, what we would call running a signal to a call, blue lights and sirens. But it's a call you can tell by the tone of the voice of the dispatcher that you better step it up because it is about to break off into something really bad. So sometimes they step it up a little more. But I would rather them do that and use extreme caution than to just mosey on over there. Meanwhile, while somebody's potentially gonna get killed. Good.
My point is, I'm not asking you per se, I understand sometimes y'all go to scenes with no lights and
That's
whatever.
right.
But when you put on your side, to go through a red light, to take a fried chicken, I don't think there's nothing going on in the right.
If you see that happen, you let me know. You call me, I'm gonna give you my cell phone.
Because
If you see that happen, we got a problem.
trust me, I think I do a lot of stuff that was not under their job description.
And I'm hoping you're saying you've seen in the past tense. Because
Yeah.
I've been here 7 months, and I'm gonna tell you this, it's a common mistake for people to mistake us for another agency.
That's right.
Actually, I think 5 posts today on Facebook alone accuse us of different things that happened with the sheriff's office. And one of the things we're doing is we're rebranding our entire department. We're getting new cars that are gonna look different, and we're not gonna repaint all the old cars, it costs too much money. As we get cars, they're gonna look different. They'll be black, but the doors are totally white on the cars. And they're gonna say really big, police. And there's a difference in police and sheriff. Sheriff covers the county, police cover the city. We get accused of things all the time that we
White
don't
and
do.
black SUVs, city police.
Absolutely.
I can read too, see.
Yeah. We don't have them yet. They're coming. They're coming.
So, you know, I'm just saying.
I give you my personal cell phone, and if you ever see that, you call me, okay? Because we hold our officers accountable, and I can assure you of that. Any complaint we have, we investigate. We have body cameras, okay? When lights come on, we have in-car cameras. We review them randomly. Our supervisors are required to randomly review body camera footage, and we have to ensure that our officers, even when there was no complaint, have to ensure that they use the proper amount of force. Just like we call victims randomly. We call victims just to ensure that we properly handle it. And you know what? We don't always properly handle it.
Oh,
But
Lord.
you know what? We need to admit to our mistakes and move forward and show people what we're doing. How are we fixing that? We're going to do this type of training for all the department, remedial training. We'll ensure that that doesn't happen again. And if it does happen again, that individual, it will be an isolated incident and they will be held accountable. And that's very important. But I'm going to give you my
You can also do attitude adjustment training,
We can do that.
because you got something.
We actually, I'm glad you brought that up. We actually brought in, we did crisis intervention training. Right when I came on, we brought in people that were in your face with our officers that actually have been arrested many times, that suffer from mental health crises themselves. And they did scenario training with our officers. And we invited other agencies to come in and we paid for the whole entire training. Our plans in next year's budget already that we're working on is a 40-hour crisis intervention training for our entire department. Each individual officer has to go through it. So we understand when somebody's in a crisis state, you know, there are de-escalation techniques that you can oftentimes use, but not all the time. Sometimes people come out shooting, and sometimes you just gotta respond. And those are, you know, rare, but they happen.
No, when I say attitude adjustment, I know, you know, people get price things, they got to do what they got. But I will give you an example of an experience I had. That was before you came. But these people.
Then you wanna talk to me about that offline as before? It might take a while. I wanna let other people ask the question, but I will have a chat with you.
Okay,
And I'll give you my cell phone.
okay. 'Cause I got a-
And I'll come over and meet you at your house.